Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. My name is Tariq Khalid. I'd like to welcome to our program here at Sharjah Media Corporation, Doing Good. And today I want to talk about doing good to family. How important this is. In Islam, it is essential. And if we're to look at the inner fiber of our societies, if we're beginning to understand this, and unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunate, maybe, that there are lots and lots of studies that have been done and constantly being done by psychiatrists and sociologists and psychologists in relationship to the family and the development of the family, the shortcomings of the family, the dysfunctional family, the normal family, and so forth and so on. They have a lot of different types of titles in relationship to the families today. And I won't say that this is necessarily negative, that's not what I mean, but there are so many different types of studies that have been done, and yet and still people are destroying their families. And part and parcel of this, we need to understand, why is this happening? Why are we seeing such, for example, a high number of divorces globally? Why do we see now in some places where people don't even bother to marry anymore? Young people just live together. And if they come to the point, they have children out of marriage, and then they come to the point where they can't get along, they say, well, it's easy for me to separate this way. And they split the children. The father takes one, the mother takes one, this kind of thing, and one goes to the grandmother or grandfather. All of these kinds of things happening commonly today. And then there are the other things which I don't want to go into, which people are doing, which are completely, as far as I'm concerned, from an Islamic perspective, are anti-Islamic. So we have a number of situations that are becoming more and more common globally in relationship to the family. And as a result of that, people do not see the results of what's happening in the society as a whole. So let's look and let's see, first of all, what Allah says in Surah Annisa in verse number 36, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Show kindness unto parents and unto your near kindred. Okay. And in verse number 1, Allah says, be careful of your duty towards Allah in whom you claim your rights, and towards the womb that bore you. So it's important to see this, that Allah is associating your parents, and particularly your mother, with Him. Be careful of your duty to Allah. Allah is saying, be careful of your duty to Him. And then he says what? Also, be watchful of your mother, the one who bore you. Be careful about this. Maintain the rights of your mother. We need to look at the level of this. And if we begin to comprehend the level of this simple statement, then we can begin to understand the essence of the family structure. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala elevates the mother to this point where He mentions the duty and responsibility to your mother after responsibility to Allah, we need to understand the danger that is there. Meaning what? That if we do not perform proper and righteous deeds and actions to our parents, it is disobeying Allah. It is though you just disobeyed Allah. You say something bad to your mother or your father. You treat your mother or father in a coarse or harsh manner. It is as though you did this to Allah. We need to understand this. We need to understand this. We need to put this in a clear perspective. And we need to understand that if you are a person who you disrespect your parents, this could send you to hellfire. This is not a joke. In today's world, because of the dysfunctional families, we find this level of disrespect. And I'm not talking about children who are necessarily going through the things that children go through in their growth, or teenagers who are going through hormonal changes. I'm talking about even adults who disrespect their parents, who we assume should know better. But they have become accustomed to this type of misbehavior, or it has been supported in some way through whatever mechanisms they may be, and influenced them in such a way that it has become common for them. It is very, very dangerous affair. The hellfire is not a joke. It is not a play place. It is not a place where people who do bad on this earth will gather and party, because they were the friends in this world who were involving themselves and supporting themselves in doing evil deeds, so therefore that they will be together in a place. It will just be hot, and they will just do their thing. This is false. This is just fiction. This is fiction. So if you are a person who believes this, or if you know people who believe this or who act like this, warn them now. Change your tone. Change your attitude, even if your parent hasn't been a good parent. And I've known people, they didn't know their parents. It wasn't until they became grown that they actually met their real parents. And they blamed them in some instances for this. And there are many different types of circumstances that people find themselves in after they attain adulthood, that they actually begin to know their real parents. And I'm just using this as an extenuating circumstance, that even in this case, let's say your parents were drug users. They were alcoholics, for example. Or your father or your mother or both of them were criminals, and they spent most of their life in prison. As an example, let's just take some of the worst scenarios. And you were put in foster care, or your grandparents or auntie or uncle raised you. And so you never knew your parents. Your parents come out of prison. They're still criminal types. And you finally meet them. And they don't show any really concern about you. Yeah, kid, yeah, we had you, and we know you're our kid, but, this is the life that we live, and, we really didn't care about it, and it was just a thing, You were just the result of a fling that we had. Of course, this will be very painful for the person who experiences this, and of course, hearing this from your so-called parent who's saying, yeah, well, we were just having some fun, and, we didn't do, boop, okay, you came out of it. We didn't expect it, and we never really wanted you. Let's put it in perspective. The Prophet ﷺ, Anas radiallahu anhu narrated, the Prophet ﷺ said, "He who desires his earnings to increase and his life to be long should treat his relations well." And it's collected by Bukhari and Muslim. And here's another hadith, okay? And let's listen to this one, which actually relates directly to this situation. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu narrates that the Prophet ﷺ, someone said to the Prophet ﷺ, "I have some relatives whom I treat well, but they deny me my rights. I treat them well, but they treat me badly. I am forbearing, but they quarrel with me." The Prophet ﷺ said, "If this is really so, then you are feeding them hot ashes. Allah shall always give you a helper. And it's collected by a Muslim. So, yes, this circumstance will be a difficult circumstance to deal with. But what is our intention? Our intention is to seek the guidance for all of humanity to the correct path. That if we have people in our families who are clearly way out of the way from this, and of course it could be very personal, that as a Muslim, by Allah's permission, I have an understanding of something which they don't have clarity on. They don't have a clue of. They don't have an idea what they're facing. And the Prophet ﷺ mentions here, it says that you're feeding them ashes. You're attempting to save them from that. They don't have an idea of what's coming in the grave. And the Prophet ﷺ said more or less that the grave will be one of two things. For the believer, it will be like a garden of paradise, and it will be expansive, and he will smell the fragrances of paradise. For the disbeliever, it will be like a pit of hellfire, and it will enclose him so that his ribs, one becomes engaged with the other. We understand this and we believe this. These people cannot comprehend this. So it is part and parcel of our responsibility to communicate it to them to the best of our ability. If they don't want to listen, then it is on them. But it's up to us to inform them, because they don't have a clue about what it is that they're facing. They're only dealing with the here and now. And that's what many of these people who are extreme in their behavior, their mindset is here and now. What can you do for them? There are exploiters, and there are many of them who exist in this mentality. But we're looking to please Allah. Under all circumstances, regardless of what I face or what challenge there may be in front of me, I have to keep it in front of my face. I'm doing this to please Allah. Allah sees me. Allah knows my actions. Allah knows my heart. Allah knows my speech. I have to stay tuned on this so I am not distracted. And that by Allah's permission, this will be a means of guidance for these people or for someone else. And the Prophet ﷺ said more or less, he does not treat his relatives well who merely returns a good deed. He who treats them well, even when they deny his rights, really treats them well. And it's collected by Sayyid Bukhari. Think about the reverse of this. Just the reverse. We're not looking for something from our relatives, our friends, in return for what I have done for you. I'm not looking for that. But the other side of the equation is that even if you mistreat me, or even if you don't recognize that which I have possibly done for you, I'm not looking for the reward from you. I'm looking past that. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at you as a vehicle for me to get the reward from Allah. So what your actions are, they don't affect me one way or the other. My concern is to please Allah. And in that, I'm happy. I'm satisfied with this. And I hope and pray that Allah is pleased with it. Simple. If Allah is pleased, fine. End of game. I won. I'm a winner. Simple. And I have to believe this. I should be steadfast in this belief system. And the people who do not understand this, we ask Allah to guide them, to open their hearts, that they can understand it. That the lives that they're living, the destruction of the elements, the very basic elements or tenets of familyhood, as we're seeing it being destroyed today, purposely, Satan is making this huge effort. Why? Because he knows, very simply, if you dissemble the family, then it's easy to work on the individuals. Once they're separated, easy. He can concentrate on, focus on them. What is his objective? To take every single person that he can, men and jinn, to the hellfire. If we understand that, then it becomes clear. If we look at the manipulation of the mindset of people in relationship to marriage, in relationship to having children, in relationship to development of communities, development of positive interaction, principles, morals, values, which are common as we're seeing this whole boat today being shaken, being rocked. And some people says, well, brother, has to happen. It's the 21st century. And yes, maybe Allah knows best. It is happening. So it is meant to happen without question. But we need to ask ourselves, do we submit to this or do we resist it? And this question for each one of us as an individual. What I'm seeing of the destruction of the family unit, should I be among those who resist it, or should I be among those who participate in it? And of course, there's an old adage, isn't it? You're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. No in between. Which one is your choice? So if you want to be part of the solution, then we need to understand a very simple thing. We need to study the Book of Allah, which gives us clear guidance until the day of judgment about how to do good in relationship to our families. Expecting that our progeny, inshallah, will also be good and will do good. And that methodology, of course, comes in the life of the Prophet Muhammad, may the peace and blessing of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala be upon him, who set the practical example for mankind until the day of judgment of how to deal with your family, things to do, things not to do, how to work with them and try to keep them, as we can say, you're the herder, herding them along the correct path that they may enter paradise. And we're wishing and praying for all of you who are viewing our programs that Allah may guide you to the paradise. My name is Tariq Khalid. I'd like to thank you for joining us here at Sharjah Media Corporation. Doing good. Please continue to do good, righteous deeds and actions for the pleasure of Allah, that you may receive His paradise. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.